Some people with us, some with their frown. Still I know my purpose is to share what we found. Some people insist to wear others down. But all will bear witness unto who wears the crown.
Meet the Levites, a tribe of Israelites whose patrilineal genetic haplogroup falls under the broader EM2 umbrella. The specific subclade or branch for the tribe of Levi is EM34. The presence of the mutation M123 with EM34 indicates that a person is a descendant of Aaron, the high priest of Israel. This mutation is called the Cohen Modal Haplogroup. In other words, if you have the Cohen Modal Haplogroup, you are a descendant of Aaron, the brother of Moses. If you find that you have this marker, you would be very wise to honor Hamashiach and keep the commandments. As this scientific fact suggests, Levites have a unique genetic heritage that can be traced back to the time of Moses. Many of you Israelites watching this video who may have this marker should know the law is not done away with in the New Testament. Let's run down the scientific facts. In 1998, Dr. Skorecki sequences the Y chromosome DNA of remains discovered in a 2,000-year-old ossuary found in Jerusalem. The ossuary is inscribed with the name of Eleazar, the high priest of Jerusalem, a descendant of Aaron, the high priest. The Y chromosome DNA of the ossuary matches the EM34 subclade. In 2004, Dr. Mark G. Thomas and colleagues published a study in the journal Nature that identifies the CMH mutation M123 as a defining marker of the EM34 subclade. In 2005, Dr. Thomas and colleagues published a study in the American Journal of Human Genetics that shows the CMH mutation M123 is present in high frequency among the Lemba people of southern Africa. Note, the frequency of EM34 with the M123 mutation is much higher among the Lemba than in any other population ever studied for the Levitical genetic marker. The Lemba are a group of Israelites also classified as Bantu-Negro people who have a long oral tradition of descent from ancient Israel. In 2007, Dr. Thomas and colleagues published a study in the journal PLOS One that shows that the CMH mutation M123 is absent from the Y chromosome DNA of all Jewish populations that have been tested, with the exception of some Beta Israelites who have begrudgingly been allowed to immigrate back to Israel from Ethiopia before the appointed time. In 2009, Dr. Michael Hammer and Tudor Parfit published a misleading study in the journal Nature that substantiated Lemba's claim of being Israelites. However, Hammer's and Parfit's study claimed the Lemba Israelite genetic heritage was based on a high frequency of the J haplogroup, which is commonly associated with Indo-European populations. So, Hammer and Parfit essentially told these proud Levite men they're Israelites because their fathers are white men, despite EM34 and CMH mutation being the benchmark sample for the testing in the first place. I don't need to tell many of you how offensive this unethical behavior is, but unfortunately, it has been a common occurrence among genetic researchers in regard to Israelite DNA. There's a clear pattern of falsifying, maligning, and suppressing certain genetic data, while whispering the truth to fellow peers on the back pages of scientific publications, in most cases years later, in hopes of maintaining some degree of scientific credibility. Continuing, in 2013, Dr. Oppenheimer publishes a study in the journal PLOS One that confirms his hypothesis. The study confirms the Lemba people have a high frequency of the Cohen Modal Haplogroup, mutation M123. This means the Lemba are not only descendants of Levi, but the specific mutation M123 within EM34 identifies many Lemba as being from the lineage of Aaron, hence the term Cohen Modal Haplogroup. It's worth mentioning Oppenheimer in his 2011 book initially argued that the Lemba are not descended from Israelites despite knowing EM34 and the CMH mutation is the benchmark for discovering Aaron's descendants and was discovered back in 1998. Moving along, In 2017, Dr. Sarah Tishkoff and colleagues published a study in the journal Science, revealing additional insights about the Lemba people's genetic ancestry. The researchers found that approximately 30% of the Lemba, particularly the Buba subclan, carried the mutation M123 or Cohen Modal Haplogroup. To support their findings, the researchers simply compared the Y chromosome haplogroup of living Lemba individuals with the genetic samples of Eleazar the high priest discovered in Jerusalem. Consistent with other research, they observed a high frequency of the Y chromosome haplogroup EM2, commonly found in the Middle East and among Bantu-Negro populations of West Africa. In 2023, Dr. Cian Cook and colleagues published a study in the journal Nature that confirmed Dr. Hammer and Tudor Parfit had falsified the data in their 2009 study. The study shows that the Lemba people do not have any of the genetic markers that is characteristic of the Y chromosome haplogroup J. According to the data from Ancestry.com, 23andMe and MyHeritage, the percentage of African American men in the United States carrying EM34 haplogroup is about 15%. This means that about 1 in 7 African American men in the United States carry the EM34 marker. In conclusion, despite possessing this ancestral truth, racist and ignorant attitudes persist among Eurocentric researchers and even some Israelites. These unlikely bedfellows work in tandem to suppress acknowledgement of established scientific fact that all Israelite genetic subclades are exclusively associated with Bantu-Negro populations. The Lemba, descendants of Aaron, brother of Moses, face the racial injustice of being denied immigration privileges into Israel because of the color of their skin. However, they don't stand alone. As stated, there are 3 million African Americans in the U.S. that carry the Levitical genetic marker EM34. This population would also be rejected by the Israeli government for the same racist reason, should they seek to return before the appointed time. But that's okay, Israel, because we will get to the promised land without their approval very soon. This truth is already above our haters and is correcting history. Shed the shackles of pseudoscience and false doctrines. Support the work of this channel. Like, subscribe, and share. Shalom.